Hi everyone. For this episode of Agitprop Interviews, I had the absolute joy of interviewing someone I've been online connected with for several years, the amazing legend Eddie Edwards. Now, I have been aware of the Edwards twins because the transformations, I think, are so incredible, not just because the makeup and obviously my transformation background on YouTube, but because they can impersonate the voices while singing. So there's been so many incredible transformations from Barbarastreisand to Bette Midler, and to speak to Eddie, and I was having a really funny day that day because I'd had to go through a lot of my storage during this lockdown pandemic. So I was going into like a time capsule of an old home. So hopefully it doesn't come across at all in the interview, but I wanted to just give you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes of that just to keep you informed, because I want to be transparent with all my stuff on here. It was such an amazing surprise to speak about more than just the artistry of performance and transformation, but also to go into things like health, because I want to cover all topics and bases on Agitprops. So please enjoy this episode, and I'll link all of the Edwards twins and Eddie's work at the end.
Joe, how are you?
Hello. Oh my goodness, it's so great to speak to you.
It is so great to speak to you after all these years. My God, I have been following you on Facebook, YouTube for, oh my God, I think it was probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 years. And it's so weird. I came across your thing just by accident. I don't remember how, because I look at a lot of makeup tutorials and different things like that. And oh my God, I mean, you are so freaking talented with makeup. It's unbelievable.
Oh my God.
You've really, as an entertainer that's been in the business for over 35 years, you've really inspired me with your makeup. So I just wanted you to know that, because I know we in the business, we have no idea who it is that we inspire, and that's the reason why that I'm actually in this business, is because I love it so much, but I love to be able to inspire other people, young people, different things like that, because, I came out of the closet when I was 13 years old, many years ago. I'm actually 55, and it was like unheard of back then. Because I grew up in a very rednecked area. So I like to be able to be an inspiration to, young people who actually, are dealing with their sexuality, etc. But anyways, you've been a really a huge inspiration to me. And I mean, you are just so talented as a makeup artist. It's just amazing what you do.
Oh my God, that means so much. I've had a bit of a crazy day, so that was so touching. I'm a bit emotional. Thank you so much, because you...
Oh, honey, my pleasure. My pleasure. I'm a very positive, happy-go-lucky person. I don't allow the, negative things to get me down. I mean, it's all about your how you process things. That's what I've learned a lot in my life. And, I have a really good processing, regimen that I do. And that is that, anything that comes your way, you have to process it in a positive way, because if you don't, then, you're going to basically, get depressed, have anxiety, blah, 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 all that stuff. So, I'm thankful for everything that I've been given. I'm not religious, but I'm extremely spiritual.
Yes, me too.
And, I'm just in, gratitude every day, every hour of my life, and just thankful that I can be 55 years old and still be able to do this, and have a great body and have a great face, and be able to keep my voice, and all that stuff and everything. So that's the whole thing. So anytime you're down, Joe, call me, and I promise you I can definitely lift you up, because
oh my God,
that's what I do.
That would be a pleasure.
Listen, I mean, you have you have so much to be proud of. I mean, you really do. And, sometimes, I always say it would be so amazing if we could like just get out of our bodies for a little bit and to be able to look at us at a different point of view than what we actually look at ourselves. Just because, just with following you online and seeing your gifts and everything. And I'm really good with reading people's, energy and aura and all that stuff. And, it was just, your energy and your aura is what really kind of made me follow you online because, first of all, I'm a sucker for anyone who has extraordinary makeup skills. I mean, that's just, that's one of my biggest things. I believe it or not, this is funny. I don't consider myself to be a great makeup artist.
Oh my God, I've got so many questions. I've got so many because you're so good.
Yeah, well, thank you. And again, that's what I'm, trying to tell you is that we can't see ourselves in the same light as other people. And, it's like, I mean, I look at you and, and I think to myself, oh my God, I mean, he is so amazing with makeup. And not only that, but I mean, just your foundation of your face and the way and the gift that you have that's, spirit source or whatever it is that you happen to call it, God or whatever, has given you is just amazing. I mean, you are physically just absolutely beautiful and you have such an amazing foundation to work with, which you are so lucky. You are so lucky because I don't. I mean, I have a very manly face as, guy. So I have to really do everything and anything. I have to pull out all the tricks to be able to make myself look like a woman. So, which is actually, it's kind of good because it gives me, the opportunity to create, other things that I just don't, ever thought that I would create. Because I first started out with just Barbarastreisand and Bette Midler. Those were actually the two that I were actually known for, whatever.
Yes, but you did it. You were scouted after Halloween at Lacage. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. Yes, that's right. That's right. Exactly. That's crazy that you actually know that.
Of course.
Oh my God, that's insane. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I started. I started with the original Lacage, which was even before the Broadway play, which was based on the movie in France, which I'm sure you know.
Yes.
You know about or whatever. So basically what happened with that is the movie was first. And then what happened was there was this guy by the name of Lou Paciocco who saw the movie, and he basically said it would be amazing if we could create a club like that in the States. And so that's actually what he did. He created the actual type of club that was in the movie with that. And then, of course, the rest is history. Then came the Broadway play. And then, of course, after that, there was Birdcage with, the movie with Robin Williams.
Yes.
And all this stuff. But I go back pretty far. I'm one of the original cast members. I started with them when I was about probably 17, 18, I think.
Okay.
And I was like really, really young. And this was, early 80s. So that's how it all started. In this club, I don't know if you know that much about Lacage, but it was a very high-end 4-star dinner show club where all of the celebrities, all of the greats, all of the old-time stars would basically come in, have dinner, see the show. A lot of them would come in to see themselves impersonated, like Lucille Ball, and oh my God, I can go on. Diana Ross, Anita Baker, Whitney Houston, all that stuff. It was, all the greats and all the old time greats. So I had the opportunity when I was young. It was surreal, looking in the audience, and there was like Lucille Ball and Estelle Getty and from the Golden Girls, and I mean it just went on and on and on and on and on. So many people. So that's a little bit of history of Lacage.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you because you and your brother grew up in California, right?
Yes, we did.
And you kind of had this like passion for these shows that were on TV at the time, like the Sonny and Cher show, the Cara Burnett show, and Laughing, and you'd sneak off to the NBC building.
That's right, exactly. Oh my God, boy, have you done your homework?
Of course, of course.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, that's how it indeed started.
Did
Yep.
you always have like a fascination with celebrity and like how people became a performer or a showman or something? Was that always something that was interesting to you
Always.
individually? Okay.
Always. When I mean, ever since I, could, dream or whatever, my brother and I were always doing skits. We were always doing, fun stuff, together. We had the most amazing imagination. That imagination had a lot to do with what it was that we watched on TV. So basically, we lived literally in the heart of where all of the TV shows were filmed. Sonny and Cher, the Cobra Nut Show. Now, I don't know if you know this, but my Uncle Jack was a regular on the Sonny and Cher show.
Oh, no,
He was
I didn't.
he was also the voice of the announcer on Sonny and Cher, so the one who says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Sonny and Cher."
Oh.
That was our Uncle Jack. So when we were little, he would take us on the set of the Sonny and Cher show. So we were there all the time, and people loved us because we were absolutely identical at that time. You couldn't tell us apart. And our thing was, we, even at that age, we basically were doing our, impersonation of stars in different things like that. So people found this really cute, really adorable, all that stuff. So we kind of, in a sense, grew up on the Sonny and Cher show. Of course, it didn't really dawn on me how big Cher was. I mean, she was just kind of like like someone that my uncle worked with. But as I got older and, realized, who she was and all this stuff, that's when, it all kind of makes sense. And then we started to do a lot of skits and different things like that. And so the people who wrote a lot of those skits, like from the Sonny and Cher show, the Carol Burnett show, they lived right down the street from us. So we would basically see the skits on the TV. We would tape them with a cassette recorder, and we would basically duplicate them verbatim. And verbatim. We could literally write things down and be able to memorize them. And then these writers would come over and literally watch us do skits that they actually wrote.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you think, like, this is probably a bizarre question, but I'm going to ask it anyway?
You can ask me anything you want. Okay. I am open to everything and anything.
So, because you're a twin and you and Anthony, am I saying Anthony or Anthony? I always have to check.
Anthony.
Yes, because I don't want to say it wrong, because it's very particular, I know. But when you like have a twin and you can see someone that kind of looks like very similar to you, is it like almost like a double reassurance thing? You're like, oh my God, if they're doing a good job, that means I can do a good job, because you kind of are like seeing yourself from someone else's point of view, but it's actually not you. Does that make any sense?
It does. And basically, yes, to your question, but let me go into detail a little bit so you can kind of understand.
Yes.
So when people ask how it is to be a twin, I always basically say, well, I never really knew any other way. I always knew that I had a twin, and I always, so we were very close. But one thing about twins, we were always in competition with each other, especially as we got older. Not so much when we were younger. When we were younger, we were more like just playmates, and we were extremely close, and we were just kind of like that duo together, playmates. Well, as we got older, it started to be more of a competition thing, different things like that. And I tend to have been a little bit more, I guess you can say probably, I hate to say an older soul, but I believe I'm an older soul than my brother, just because I was the one who basically was always the one to basically be the guinea pig and do things before he would do them. He would go, and I would actually, I was in show business. I mean, professionally in show business before he was.
Yes, because he became a police officer, right?
He was a police officer, but my brother had a very hard time finding himself because we both of us are gay. This is when it gets really, really complicated, but I'm going to go into it so you can kind of have a little bit of a background, and I'll do it as quick as I can because it really could be turned into a long story. So
I like the stories. I like the stories.
Yeah, exactly. So my brother and I, basically, I always knew that I was attracted to men ever since I was about probably 9 years old. And I always would find ways and different things like that throughout high school to basically, play around with other guys on this stuff. I didn't know that it was sex back then, but it was just something that just came naturally to me. So I did that a lot ever since I was 9 years old. Where my brother was completely different. He was, I don't know what his journey was, but he wasn't at that journey at all at that point in his life. I really was. We were both. We went through puberty very early. I think we went through puberty when we were about probably 10 or 11.
Okay.
Very early in life. So the hormones started to, and all this stuff. So I always, I don't know how I found myself in these situations, but I guess as you're growing up, you're kind of trying to find your way sexually, whatever. So I actually, was in touch with my sexuality more so than my brother. Well, I came out of the closet when I was about 14 years old. To basically my parents and everybody. I had, gay friends, and all that stuff. And, I just thought to myself, listen, I don't want to live a lie. I like to be as truthful as I can. This is who I am. And that's it. Of course, I never knew that there would be repercussions on other people. I just figured, well, what's going to be wrong with me being honest?
Yes.
Well, this was in high school, and this was in Tucson, Arizona, where it was very, 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 very redneck. And especially at the school, there were nobody that was really, gay. People called each other faggot and whatever, but that was just, but it was gay. So I told the school that I was gay. Well, let me tell you something. My brother, oh my God. It was awful for him because he, of course, knew that he was gay, but he was not ready to come out of the closet, nor did he want to, because we were raised very religiously. We were born into a Southern Baptist Pentecostal holy, which is basically you're going to burn in hell for the rest of your life if you're
yes.
gay, blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. So anyways, but, as time went on with that, I actually, with the religious stuff, I got over that. It took me a while, but I got over it and I educated myself. Well, what happened was I wanted to be able to get out of high school as quick as I could because I wanted to start my career. So I basically lived myself as an openly gay man from when I was 14, 15 years old, and it basically killed my brother. Killed him because, he wasn't out or whatever. So it made it kind of difficult for him, but, I was fine. And that caused problems with him and I.
I see. Because that,
yeah,
I guess,
yes.
You also sang in a more feminine style from what I've read in interviews. Like you had a higher tone to your voice. So
yes.
Was it kind of like
I always seemed to have a higher, when I was young, all the way up to, it was so weird. Even when I was in my, late 20s, I always had a very feminine high-pitched voice where I would always be mistaken as women, all this stuff. It wasn't until I started to learn to basically use my voice that I basically could that I could basically during my regular life or whatever, learn to lower my voice a little bit so I didn't come off so gay, because there was a lot of situations that I was put into throughout my life where I had to basically hide my sexuality for several different reasons, different things like that, you know. So I didn't want to come off as a very feminine guy, because my brother is up to this. He is a devout born again Christian.
Okay.
Has always been, and that's fine. We struggled with that for a long, long time, and he ridiculed me for a long, long time. But we're over that. We're beyond that, or whatever. But our act, basically, for the longest time, I had to kind of hide my sexuality a little bit. Not that if I was ever asked by anyone, I would basically tell them, but I couldn't be feminine. I couldn't be, very, very feminine as a guy, because it just wouldn't have been a good thing for our image as identical twins, because we were trying to get into a heterosexual market.
Yes.
Because gay people, if we were to rely on gay people to come see our show, we would be broke. Because gay people don't want to spend $100 to see a show.
That's so true. I've got loads of questions I wrote down about this, because I thought you've been on like news channels that are Republican kind of bias to advertise the show. And I was always interested in that, because I think like people, I think my generation, firstly, they don't look into their history. They don't know what came before them. And it's really infuriating to be in my 20s and not able to like have a convo with someone my age about things that I'm inspired by from before. But people they think the Drag Race machine is a successful machine. And I've always told people, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about and how money's made in like bigger styles and this. And I was going to ask you a little bit about that, but now I kind of see that it was almost like strategic to get into that sort of Vegas-y, performance-y thing. And some of the people you impersonate are also like known for that sort of crowd as well.
Yeah, exactly. And we fought, oh my God, Joe, we fought for years to get able to get out of that stereotype of quote unquote drag queen, gay, transsexual, transvestite, call it whatever it is that, there's been several names for it as I grew up, because when we first started, nobody would touch our show, because I was a man that dressed as a woman, and in their belief system, not judging them, but in their belief system, they basically thought it was a gay drag show. Yeah. So as time went on, we really had to pay our dues, and we really had to, we actually started our act, believe it or not, working in gay bars throughout the United States. And basically, so what happened was, when we were in Vegas, we basically left Vegas and we went on the road. Our destination was Florida, and we worked every gay bar that we could get from Las Vegas to Florida, just to be able to just, pay our bills and to be able to, keep. Once we got to Florida, then we started working for the head mob of Boston, the head mob guy of Boston. He had discovered basically me first, and then I gave him a videotape of my brother and I, and he said, I want to definitely see if I can do something with your show. Now, he had hotels in both Florida and Boston, in Massachusetts, and all over, that he wanted to present our act. But he wanted to see it first to make sure that it wasn't a gay act or whatever. So we went to Florida, and when we started working for him, the first show that we did, he was like, okay, so I like everything, but there's a few things that we have to tweak and blah, 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 and all that stuff, because you have to realize I grew up in Las Vegas, Lacage and Kenny Kerr, with Frank Marino and Kenny Kerr.
Yes.
And basically all my monologue that I did was all basically adult sexual overtones, different things like that. I was doing Kenny Kerr and Frank Marino stuff, which was brilliant, and it was great for a certain type of community, but for the high class, well-to-do conservative Jewish people and Italians, it just was not what I should, be doing. So we had to basically rearrange all that, or whatever. So that's kind of how we pretty much got into mainstream. Now, there's a lot of stuff that went on before regarding people still not wanting our act and all this stuff, but that's primarily pretty much how we got started into that. And that's why I had to work on my image as, being a not so feminine guy and pulling myself off as, and believe me when I tell you, I don't hide my sexuality at all. If someone comes up to me and someone asks me, I will not lie to them. But there's just a persona that you have to be able to deal with when you're dealing with these big executives and all this stuff. They don't want to be dealing with a feminine screaming queen, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's so true. And I've been fighting for so long because I feel like for my age group and the things that I wanted to do with my career, I've either had to play the part of this sort of everyday boy in makeup to get the mainstream approach, or I have to be a drag queen, or I have to be a full transsexual woman who's had operations and petitions for social justice. And it's like, where is there an opportunity for people actually to take me seriously for the things I've accomplished, rather than trying to niche me into a strange box? And you have to wear all the hats at all times.
You do. And I'm sure, as you came to notice in time, this is the thing, unfortunately, with people. They have to put you in a category.
Yeah.
Just because that's their belief system, you see. And, the thing is, it took me a while to be able to learn this and understand this. But most of all, not to judge them for it, and to be able to look at them at a very loving point of view. And so that's kind of basically what I had determined over the years, is that that's just their belief system. That's the only thing that they know. They have to be able to label you in whatever way it is that requires with their belief system.
Yes. And I think the beauty of the fact you do so many different incredible illusions with your work is that the fans of people like Miss Streisand, and like, because you are incredible as Barbara Streisand, it's unbelievable. And it's not just because you look remarkably like her and your geesh, but oh my god, when you sing like oh my god, it's amazing. And it always reminds me, because my grandma, the memory song was at her funeral, and it just sticks in my head because she used to love that song. So it's amazing that you do her so incredibly.
Thank you so much. She's the one that I love more than all my characters, and I think overall that's the one that I'm actually known for. Just because I take Barbara at heart, just because I just feel that I'm part of her, and don't get me wrong, I love all the rest of the characters I do, but Barbara, I believe, to me, is the one that I resonate more with than any of my characters.
So how did you possibly learn to sing like her? Because it is like, she's so incredible. And I've watched one of the performances you do that you have like the Phantom of the Opera on one side of your face and Barbara on the other, and it's like from operatic bellows to like this incredible like smooth tone. It's like, oh my god.
yeah. So funny story about that, and I'll get with the voice. So what happened was this: is I was in Aruba working for Lacage when Barbara came out with her album. The Broadway album where she did the duet with Michael Crawford, which is the one I do. And I basically thought to myself, because when I was in Aruba, I had a lot of time on my hands, because the only thing that I really had to do was the show at night. I was on the island for three years, and of course, when you're on an island for 3 years, you try to prevent yourself from getting island fever. So you basically try to be able to do as much as you can to keep yourself busy and use your imagination.
Yes, like we're doing in lockdown.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So what happened was I thought to myself, wow, would this not be amazing if I could be able to go and to be able to create half Barbarastreisand on one side, half Michael Crawford on the other from Phantom of the Opera. And I thought about this, and I had this friend of mine who basically was basically someone who was trans, who basically this person has had has gone through the whole change and all this stuff. Still, not the operation, but lives as her life is a woman and all,
yes.
and all this stuff and everything, and is extremely talented. Anyways, I had her create me this outfit where we did half Barbarastreisand on one side, which was the white suit from the '94 concert, and then on the other side was from the Phantom of the Opera with the cape. So the costume was fabulous. So she also is, and as of today, we still have her do our wigs, Maxie, because she created me the most amazing wig for that, where she cut it short, spray painted it black on one side, and then of course Barbara on the other. So everything was great. And then with the makeup and all this stuff, there was only one problem, is on Aruba. If you know anything about Aruba back then, they had nothing. They only had like one store, which was called La Linda, which was kind of like like a 70s kind of like a 70s what can I thrift store and department store all in one. So there wasn't really a lot, but it had a little bit of everything. So I thought to myself, how the hell am I going to make this Phantom mask? Now this was way before where you could actually buy the mask.
Yes.
you couldn't even buy the mask because Phantom was big and all that stuff and everything. So I thought, okay. So I was looking around in the store, and I came across, I don't know how it got there because it was Aruba, but I came across this hockey mask. Like a white hockey mask. And I thought, I bet I could probably cut this in half and kind of shape it like the Phantom and all this stuff. And that's exactly what I did. I did. And it actually turned out really well. So I did that, and then I started doing that on the island. It became a huge, huge success. Now, remember, when you're in La Cage, you have to lip sync. They don't allow you to do anything live at all because that's not what their foyer was. It was basically lip sync. So of course I was, doing that. Well, once I left the island and then started with, my show, I basically did, the singing live back and forth, which was really difficult because I had never done that before, because when I was in Aruba, I was lip syncing, so I never had that challenge. So it really took me a long time to be able to do it, back on stage, because there's one part of the song where I basically, the Phantom will put his arm around Barbara's waist and will dip Barbara, and Barbara goes all the way back. So I had to be able to go and to continue to hold a note and sing while I was being dipped.
Yes.
Very difficult.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's kind of how that all got started. And that of course is people just absolutely love that thing, and it's gotten now it's great, but my brother and I always had the gift of, and when I say gift, that's exactly what it is. It is a gift. Nobody can teach you how to do this. You could have the best vocal coaches in the world, which we did. We studied with a guy by the name of Seth Riggs. You might want to Google him.
Okay.
Seth Riggs. Seth Riggs was literally Michael Jackson's vocal coach, Whitney Houston's. I mean, he's worked with everybody. He was in Burbank and we studied with him and his wife Florence for several years, and but the thing that he was amazed about was that the uncanny ability that we had to be able to literally have such a great ear to where we could just basically hear something and then we could just verbatim, do it.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I always like when I've seen all your videos, like as you update your Facebook over the last few years, I'm like, how do you there's no transitional bit between your chest voice and your head voice. It all sounds seamless. Yeah. I'm like, how does this happen?
That is what I learned from Seth.
Oh,
because this is the thing, is that it has to be seamless. And that is, I worked on that for years.
What is your star sign? Are you a perfectionist?
Pardon?
What's your star sign? Are you a perfectionist?
I'm Aquarius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm Aquarius, but I have I think I have Gemini rising.
Okay.
I believe.
The twins.
Which is interesting because I'm a twin and everything. What are you?
I'm a Taurus. It was just my birthday a few days ago.
Oh my God. You and I will get along very well. Tauruses and Aquarians get along so well.
Yes. And you're really into energy. You pick up on me because I'm I used to be I don't know. I think people used to think I was a Leo because I used to kind of impersonate Leos. I don't know why. But I think in the last couple of years, because I've sort of found more grounding in my life and I've become more confident just sharing who I am. I think people now get that I'm a Taurus.
I noticed that. I noticed that about you from videos back to when I actually had started you all the way up to now. You have such an amazing spirit and energy around you and assurance now with the acceptance of yourself than you did back then. I really, really picked that up. And all that is growth. But you're lucky. You're very lucky because a lot of trans are not able to do that.
No, I think it was almost I kind of had to backtrack and go through a second puberty. I know it sounds really strange, but
no, I get it. I totally get it.
I was living because I started working when I was 14 and as a model, and I was living in Tokyo on my own at 17, and it was almost
oh my God, Tokyo! I love Tokyo. I was in Tokyo.
I know. I've been following you. It's an amazing place, but I think that I was. Because it was even before then, I did my high school education when I was 10 and 11. So I've always been way ahead of my age group. And I was feminine, and then I was thrust into this world where it wasn't a bad thing. It was actually praised because I was androgynous as a model when I started. And then I never had a normal socialization, if you know what I mean. No one would ever consider calling me a boy. And I had to find out what it was like to have that kind of version of me. And I went out there, I think when I was about 23 for the first time in boy clothes, which was new. And once I did that, it was almost like I could rebalance. I didn't need to hide that side of me. I could be whatever I wanted to be, I think.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But also I have a partner now who is really supportive and doesn't care what I am. I think having someone in your life that kind of gives you that assurance is also a healthy thing.
It is. And it's so great that you were able to find somebody like that who basically, you could love and they could love you, and that there's no issues with that. And that's that's really what basically love is all about, unconditional love. Because I don't know, I never, that's what, growing up in this business and working in the gay clubs as long as I did and everything, it's weird. I never ever really looked at anybody as male or female. I just looked at them as a person because there were so many, people in the gay bars that basically they were so feminine that you just didn't care if they were a guy or a girl or whatever. And see, back then we didn't have, when we were young, we never had a name for. Now of course it's trans, but back then what we called them were titty queens.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was what they were initially called, you know. And so basically that's kind of what we basically call it. And that was, believe it or not, that was acceptable because that's what our slang was, and everyone accepted it. Now, of course, you use that, and oh my God, I mean, the trans community goes, crazy.
Do you think that going through so much turmoil as an LGBT person when you were young, or you were more younger than you are now, I should say, when you kind of go through like the AIDS crisis and you go through segregation for being gay in like your high school experience, you become more aware of where people are coming from. You learn to tell if someone is being nasty to someone or they're being sarcastic immediately because you've been forced to adapt to situations where that could be a potential danger, and you kind of develop an energy reading. I don't think that people can read energy now, so they've had to reinvent the wheel in some regards to these labels where they can't distinguish what the intention behind things are. And I've found it really difficult because even though my age group are insistent on using particular pronouns and gender queer and gender fluid, I didn't need to be told a label. If you say he or she went with a smile, I can tell you're coming from a good place. I know it's not mean, so I don't care so much about the wording, and I can read where you're coming from. I don't think a lot of people my age can. Do you think people have like regressed a little bit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that now, I think everybody is much more sensitive in other people's feelings, more so now than ever. Now, I don't know what that is caused from. A lot of people, says that it's caused from Trump being in the White House and, all that stuff and everything. It just, who knows where indeed it is. But I do believe now that when people approach things that they are not educated about or they're ignorant about, I think there are, not all, but I think there are a good majority of people now that are kind of like walking on eggshells and kind of feeling out people to find out to where they don't want to be insensitive. So
true. So true.
And I think, and again, just the way that I look at, my belief system, because we all have our own belief systems. And that is basically, your belief system is what basically creates your world around you. In basically the fact of, you're going to view life at whatever it is your belief system has, the belief system that you created. So you see what you want to see, where someone may be looking at something and see something completely different than what you look at, because you two have absolutely different belief systems. It has nothing to do with right or wrong. Nothing to do, because I believe in this world there is no right, there is no wrong. There's only the way, which is your journey.
Do you think that that's a spiritual thing as well?
Do I think it's spiritual?
Yes,
it's very, very spiritual. It's all about it. When you are connected to Source.
Yeah.
Really, really connected to Source, not connected to basically a belief system that is handed to you by a pamphlet that was written years ago or whatever. Nobody can tell you the real truth unless you are connected to Source. Does that make sense?
So much so. When I wanted to do this new series where I wanted to talk and interview people that I was inspired by, I wanted to go into this and so much more, because I just think like LGBT people are there's such a spiritual side to LGBT people, which is part of our culture that is it's intrinsic.
Well, that's why they were put on this earth, to be able to teach the world about diversity.
Yeah.
That's why. There is a plan for everything in the world, good or bad. There are no accidents in this world. And so think about how boring the earth would be if everyone slept with the opposite sex. you know, I mean, or vice versa. It's all about diversity. It's all about accepting everybody in what it is that they choose to be able to be happy. Now, I say that within reason. I don't mean the fact of if basically what makes you happy is molesting a child and that child is being hurt by that. That's a whole different other story.
Sure.
But I'm just saying that, you have to be able to go and you have to be able to understand that there are no accidents in this world. God has created diversity so that everybody can be able to look at something and be able to, in their minds, say to themselves, okay, he's different than I am. And I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Instead of, he's different than I am, let me see if I can change that person to be more like me.
Sure. It's funny because you've traveled so much with your shows, from Singapore to, as we said, Japan and China and even to the Bahamas. Everywhere you go, you find out these bits of indigenous culture where people used to celebrate the trans person or the gay person tribally, and all of that stuff was part of it. There was it was like a different type of flower, as you said. People were celebrated for their differences, or they had traditional roles. And I always think it's funny because a lot of the shamans were considered two-spirited, or storytellers were two-spirited, and that's so it kind of drag in a certain way has become almost like a westernized shaman in some regards. It's strange.
And the West is the worst. I mean, you are so blessed and so lucky, Joe, that you were able to be where you're at, because at least where you're at, it's a little bit more accepted.
My God, yes.
Than the West. So, I mean, you definitely, again, that's one other thing that you really should, and I'm sure you are, be grateful for and be thankful for, because, I really do believe with the journey that you had, you've touched more people's lives and have opened up more people with acceptance of different people and all this stuff than what you could ever imagine.
That's so, it means so much to hear that from you, and I do thank you so much for being so kind today.
I mean it's true. It is true, and this isn't just stuff that I'm saying. I mean, when I say something, I say it from my heart, because I know exactly what it is, because like I said, the way that you have followed me, I have followed you, and I knew back when I started to be able to follow you, I just wanted to basically find out where you were, hunt you down, and give you a big hug, because I just knew that's what you really needed. And so I try to put a little bit of feelers out or whatever, and I just didn't get a bite from you. So I just figured it's all in timing, and I figured eventually later on down the line we would be able to touch bases and get to know each other when the time was right, because I'm sure that you had your journey that you had to take. I had mine that I had to take, but now we've met each other, and things are better now.
Yes, no, I'm such an introvert, and it's so strange because I think people don't expect me to be so sort of cerebral, because people see I've put myself out there for so many years, but I'm quite shy and I'm quite embarrassed by things.
I noticed that. Yeah. I noticed that. But you know what? That's the reason why that you're as gifted as you are, because people who have an enormous amount of gifts are just really sensitive people, and that's the way it is. And so I get it. I totally get it.
Thank you. With your career, you've been doing this for so long, and I know that part of the journey you've gone on with your show with your brother, there's been years where it hasn't been facilitating a massive income because of the nature of the type of business it is. And I was wondering, now you've become this incredible I can't even describe it, this phenomena that's been shown around the world. How can you advise someone that's starting out now, that wants to play with performance, that wants to get their name out there, but doesn't have the sort of drag race exposure, or they don't fit the niche? Is there any advice you would give someone that was starting on that journey?
Absolutely. I always tell people that my belief system has always allowed me to know wherever there is a will, there is a way.
Yes.
That is something that I have always followed. And if you want something bad enough, you are going to be able to find a way to be able to achieve that, because you're going to have a will that's going to allow you to find the way. That's where that phrase actually comes from. Now, is getting to where I'm at difficult? Yes, it is. It is very, very difficult. And I've worked, I'm not going to say harder than anyone else in the business, but I've had to pay my dues over and over and over and over and over again. And many times I've had to literally go back to the beginning and start all over again. But let me tell you what that did for me. It allows me to be able to appreciate and be grateful for what it is that I have now, more so than if it was to had come easy. If it was, I tell people, if it's easy, everyone would be doing it. So don't expect it to be easy, because most likely it's not going to be easy. Also, do one thing, just one thing, even if it's a small thing, every single day, to be able to get that much more closer to what it is that you want to achieve. And what that basically does is it basically makes you look back and say, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. And it gives you momentum to be able to go forward and to be able to, get to where you're at. And don't give yourself a time limit, because the universe does not deal in time. There's no such thing as time. So don't give yourself a time limit. You get there when you're supposed to get there, but do something every single day, even if it's small, to be able to get, because sometimes people will have a dream, but they'll get overwhelmed by how long or what it is that they're going to have to do to be able to achieve that dream. That's why I always say, take things in steps. If you want to get to the second floor, you're not just all of a sudden going to leap and literally go up there. You're going to take each step. And some people will basically run up the steps, and that's fine. But then there's other people who basically have to be able, it may take them a little bit of time just to be able to get to that one step. And that's okay, because that's the way I am. I'm a very slow learner.
It's so funny, there's an analogy I can think of with this, because with me, I always wanted to work out, and I always used to watch all these people that used to do the workouts every morning, and their body would drastically change, or they'd lose weight. And I used to always try and copy all these workout things, and it would never work. And then last year I got my back chiropractor. I got my whole body realigned, and there was some issue with my hips and my spine, and now I can do it. But I was so frustrated when I was younger. I was like, how can I possibly get to where I wanted to be? Because it just wasn't working. And now it is. I'm like, oh my God, now 10 years in.
That's right. And I get adjusted a lot, because that's really important, especially for someone who sits a lot and does makeup, or someone who wears high heel shoes like us, or dance, or whatever. Your alignment is so important. Another thing I bet that you found out once you were aligned, didn't you just feel better?
Oh my God. I had toxic shock release I got 3 over a course, because they gave me a full assessment, and they said I was 40% outside of my mind
Yes.
to body ratio. Like I was so out of sync with what I was. My hips were so out of sync. My spine
Yeah.
was in an S. I'm 6'3" now. I didn't even like imagine I'd be that tall. I was about 6'1". It's made
Yeah.
me taller, and I just feel like a different person now. My whole body just seems to work better.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's what, and I definitely encourage you to be able to try to get adjusted once a month if you can.
Yes.
Because because what happens is this, is the more you get adjusted, the more your body will know it as normal and will prevent yourself from getting that unaligned so quickly. Does that make sense?
So yes, you get like a memory in your muscle.
Right, exactly. Correct.
Yes, I can't wait to get out of lockdown and go back to my lady Becky. She's so good.
Yeah, exactly. You really do need a good chiropractor. And it's so funny because just like for me, I could sit in a particular chair and sit within like an hour in that chair. And by the time that I get up, I'm out of line. I mean, that's how easy my body becomes unaligned. It's as easy as that for me. So I have to really be careful about, getting adjusted. Because another thing too is that if you're not eating right, and if you're not getting adjusted, you're going to deal with a lot of brain fog, especially as you get older.
Okay.
Brain fog is basically what happens is that you can't think clearly.
It's interesting. I'm trying to encourage my family to get it because my sister had a baby and she's out of alignment. My mum's always had a terrible back. I think it would really help them. I'm gonna tell them that it will help with their brain fog.
It would exactly. Very, very much. Very, 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 very much. See, I'm so into diet and all this stuff. That's like the second thing I do besides entertaining. I'm really into studying the microbiome.
Oh my God, I love this. I'm working with they basically do a 12-week plan of resetting your stomach biome.
Oh my God,
I love
amazing.
it.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, that's basically what I'm all about. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that your microbiome is basically the largest majority of your immune system.
Yes.
And so that's why all these people who are getting sick from this coronavirus, it's basically because their microbiome is out of whack. And it's basically because their immune system just is not working properly.
They do transfers, don't they, in Australia all the time, and they've seen remarkable results with all manner of illnesses, from Parkinson's to just correcting the bacteria levels so they're like a healthy mix. It's fantastic.
As easy as that. It's as easy as that. When your body develops like any type of immune dysfunction or autoimmune or whatever, or even autism, it's always linked to the microbiome.
It's fascinating. I'm so into that.
Yeah.
How funny.
And you know what? A lot of people have no idea about this. No idea.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. I'm kind of like a sciencey geek.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I've got to send you this one woman. You will absolutely love her. Her name is like Shavana or whatever. And she literally, if you follow her, you'll get emails. And she has all kinds of different seminars that you can be able for free, that you can be able to download and all that stuff. And she talks to some of the lead doctors all over the world that basically study the microbiome and all kinds of different stuff. It's absolutely fascinating. I'll send you her
Oh my God, I love that. I'd love that.
And
I'll dive into the rabbit hole of her videos and
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's amazing, and you'll learn so much. And I take of course supplements from a company that she recommends that actually concentrates on microbiome and getting that adjusted. There's also tests too. They have like certain tests that you can take that will actually tell you what type of condition your microbiome's in.
This is so funny because I'm literally waiting for test results for this at the moment.
Are you really? Oh my God, that's amazing.
I am. I've been doing all this stuff. I love all this stuff. I'm so fascinated by the body because it was always amazing to me that people were like into makeup and stuff, because I love makeup because it's artistic. But I always thought like, if your body's not right, you're just going to be like putting paint on like a bad canvas. You might as well improve the canvas to start with.
Yes. That is so true. That is so true, because your skin has so much to do with what it is you eat.
Yes.
And that's the main thing. That's why these young people, God bless them, they have such beautiful skin, but they're putting so much junk and alcohol and the smoking and whatever else they're doing. When they get to be a certain age, they're not going to have a very good canvas at all.
No. I'm trying to be very healthy with the alcohol, because I can drink like a fish. I've got Italian heritage on my dad's side, and they just drink.
Yeah,
I can fill my boots, but I've been like very, very, very good this year. I've hardly drunk at all, which I'm very proud of.
Good. Well, you're gonna find this fascinating about me. I've never had one sip of alcohol in my life.
I can tell because your voice is so beautiful.
Yeah, and that's exactly the reason why. I was told by Seth, Seth Riggs, and my God, there were so many great singers that I grew up with, that I knew, famous people, and every single one of them said, you want to keep your voice for a lifetime, do not drink alcohol, because it will literally destroy your voice. And so that's why so many people are like, my God, you're 55 and you can still reach those notes. Well, it's because I've never smoked and I've never had alcohol.
It's a discipline.
And I'm also real particular about my sugar intake. I only allow myself around 10 grams, 15 grams of sugar a day. I'm really particular about sugar, because sugar is literally like poison.
It's the devil. I can't have anything. But I don't even have a sweet tooth at the best of times, but I hate things that are disguised and they are like actually sugar.
Yes, exactly. But there's so much, you can be able to have, if you say you don't have a sweet tooth. I do, but I make all my stuff, my treats and my different stuff myself. So therefore, I know what's going into the ingredients, and everything I do is keto. So,
yes.
Instead of flour, I use almond flour, I use coconut flour. Instead of sweetener, I'll use, like stevia, or I'll use,
Do you use psyllium husks? Because I always see the keto recipes with psyllium husks in like, instead of like the flour and eggs. And I've never used them.
You know what? No, I've never used it. I never even thought about that at all. Most of the, like if it asks for flour, I'll use almond flour or I'll use coconut flour. But psyllium husk, no, I've never even.
A lot of the recipes I've done, like with the almond flour, if I've tried to make like a dough, like cauliflower and almond, I've always had like an almondy taste. And my friend said, no, you have to use psyllium husks and it gets rid of the almondy taste.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I was intrigued by it. There's quite a few recipes online, because I'm vegetarian as well as I try and do low carb. I've never been able to eat meat in my life. It made me really sick as a baby. So I grew up in like a carnivorous family, just not being able to eat meat. So I just cook all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, well, so you really have to be careful about making sure that you get the right protein.
Yes, that's the hard part.
That's important. See, my blood is O. I don't know if it's O positive, O negative, but it's O. And so I follow the Eat Right for your blood type as well.
Oh, you do that one? Oh, intriguing.
I do that as well, because that really, there's not been one thing that they have said where I have ate or have not ate, where like if it says, don't eat this, if I eat it, my body immediately tells me it's not good for me. I just don't feel right. But one thing that it definitely does say about me, I have to eat beef. I have to eat meat.
Interesting.
I tried not eating meat. my body I do not feel right. As soon as I have meat, my body's like, oh my God, thank you so much. And so that's what it says for eating of your blood type as well. I can also send you that link as well, because the website is fabulous. Do you know what type of blood you are?
No, I'm going to get that out with the results of this test I'm doing at the moment. I'm very excited. It's apparently meant to tell you all of this stuff. So I'm intrigued, but please send all the links. I'll definitely look into them.
I will. I'll send you the link to that, and I'll send you the link to the microbiome, the Shavana, whatever. You'll love it. And you'll be able, when I tell you, she's connected with everything. There's this amazing doctor by the name of, it's Kiran, Kiran Krishna, Krishana. He's a doctor, and he is unbelievable. He literally is the best microbiome doctor in the U.S.
Wow.
And she does a lot of interviews with him as well.
Oh my God, I can't wait to see all of this. So yeah. I'm going to quickly ask you one question. You've been on a fabulous show called The Kaminsky Method.
Yes. I love doing that. Oh my God, that was one of the highlights of my career.
I love the picture of Patti LaBelle and you.
Oh my God, what I tell you, honey, we had Patti LaBelle and I. Okay, so Patti LaBelle, Jay Leno, Michael Douglas, Alan Arkin, Nancy Travis, we all shared the same dressing room because we were on location in a synagogue. That's where we did the funeral scene.
Yes.
We were all in the same dressing room, and when I tell you, there was nothing better than to be able to be in the dressing room with all these legends. We ate together. We had 4, 5. We had 3 meals together, throughout the whole week. Oh my God, the stories that they were telling, and they were about different people they've worked with and all that stuff. Michael Douglas spent an hour just talking about when he was doing the Liberace behind the candelabra.
Oh.
I don't know if you've ever seen that, the life story of Liberace.
Yes.
Oh my God,
he spooks me. He's got such a spooky face.
Yes. Oh my God. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. So anyways, so we, it was just unreal. We had the best time. And Patti, oh my God, she is just absolutely unbelievable. And she is so, even though she's religious, she is so she loves gay people more than anything, because 2 of her assistants are really gay.
Yes.
And she was just great. I mean, we had such an amazing time. So anyway, go on.
Is there anything I was going to ask that you haven't done that you'd like to do? Is there any areas of performance or entertainment that you want to conquer next?
Oh God, yes. Believe it or not, I would like to be able to be on a series as a regular character. Both me doing just as a male and a female.
That would be amazing.
Well. And now, did you see? I don't know if you saw. I mean, I put on my Facebook page a while ago a short little movie that I did. This was years ago, where I played the male and the female. Did you see that?
No, I missed that one. I haven't seen that one.
Okay, I just did it about a month ago. So go to my Facebook. We're Facebook friends, right?
Yes, we are.
So it just search through it or whatever.
I'll have a look.
Bakes a souffle.
Okay.
And it was done years ago, but it was done by this a student who was at UCLA, and he wanted to use me for his movie, for his thesis movie, whatever. And we did it. I played both the male and the female. You have to watch the whole thing. It's a little bit of a corny script, but I enjoyed doing it because I was able to do both parts of both male and female. But now that I'm more, that I have a little bit of, experience, I would love to be able to do something to where I could be able to do both myself and also maybe like a female or basically celebrities or whatever.
That would be phenomenal. Well, where can my audience find you and your shows coming out of lockdown? So what are your links?
Okay. Yeah. So of course our website, which is the Edwards EDWARDS twins TWINS.com, the edwardstwins.com, and then we also have Anthony. I'm doing an interview, and then let's see here. Also, we have our own Facebook page, which is the Edwards Twins.
Yes.
As well, and then my Facebook page, which is Eddie Edwards. Now, I'm like probably 10 people away from 5,000, but everything that I post is to the public as well. So they don't necessarily have to be my friends to be able to, get the, my Facebook page, and then that's pretty much everything that we have. We don't have. It's interesting. I have an Instagram account which I can give you. I don't put a lot of stuff on there because I'm not as savvy with that as I am Facebook.
Yes.
I don't know. Do you do a lot of stuff on
I do. I've literally just started because I stopped my whole promotion of my makeup stuff when I hurt my eye, and that's when Instagram got really big. So I do use it, and I can put all your links in the description below after as well. So
that would be great. So my link to is it's easy. It's Eddie Edwards Live.
Fantastic.
EDDIE Eddie Edwards Live. That's my Instagram. I'm going to really kind of try to force myself to start doing more on that. There's when you put videos, there's a time limit that you only can do for Instagram than Facebook, right? Is that true? No,
they've changed it now. They've now got IGTV, which allows you to upload up to, I think, about 20 minutes or so.
Oh, that's great.
And it just shows a preview of a minute, but then you can keep on going. It just opens it up further. So it's all integrated now. But I just wanted to say thank you so, so, so much for all your lovely words and for taking the time to speak to me today, because it's been a pleasure. And hopefully when I get...
It's been a pleasure for me.
Thank you.
It has been wonderful. And listen, if you need anything else from me, you have my number. You have all my info. You know what I need from you is where do you want me to send the links at?
Just send them on my Facebook, or I'll put an email address after. Okay. But I will add all your details in below. And when I get my test results back from all that crazy investigation, I'll give you a phone call and we can chat privately.
That would be great, honey. I would love it. Listen, it's always a pleasure. I love you. I adore you. Oh. Thank you so much for all your inspiration. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Tell your partner I said hello, even though I don't know him. But I'm so happy that you actually found one. And when we have more time to talk,
we'll chit chat.
We'll get into personal stuff and all this stuff, because I've got a lot of stories that you'll find
tales to tell
as well. So
lovely. All right, love to you and family, and I'll speak to you on Facebook.
You too, Joe.
Take care. Bye.
Right. Bye.
Thank you guys for listening to this podcast. It was so amazing, and as you can see, I do appreciate that, and we'll definitely have to bring Eddie back for some more talk about macrobiotic stuff, because I love all of the nutrition things we mentioned. So please check out all the links to his work in the description below. It's been such a pleasure to connect with so many of my idols and speak to older people in the community about what's been going on before us. So please check it all out. Thank you guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.